Today on The Young and the Restless, Daniel receives a welcome surprise. Summer issues an invite to Chance, and Phyllis faces the judge. Daniel enters his suite to find Lucy there to surprise him. He embraces her and she explains that Heather is a little worried about him because of Phyllis. Daniel insists he's fine. He asks what she wants to do. Lucy tells him, "Whatever you want. This trip is all about you." Daniel tells her again that he's fine. Lucy says they'll just have fun. She asks about Phyllis's trial. Daniel assures her Heather's a great attorney, but Phyllis gets in her own way. Lucy asks how Summer's doing. Daniel loves Summer and doesn't want to see her lose anything else. Summer runs into Chance by the doors of the GTHC, and he notes she's like a big ball of nerves. He reminds her she can talk to him and trust him. Summer doesn't even know how to explain what she's feeling. All I'll say is everything's changed. They sit in the jazz lounge and Chance learns that Summer got into a fight with her mom. All he needs to know is that her eyes are finally open. Everything has shifted. Chance looks confused. She asks if he knows the feeling you get when you are on a big roller coaster. Get to the top, and you're nervous and scared, but there's also acceptance because you're there. She loves her mom, but she's letting go. She's in charge of her own fate, and she can't change her. Chance asks what about Kyle. Summer says there's no going back. She has a new energy. Maybe it's her letting go of all the crap she's been putting up with. Maybe this is what liberation feels like. At Crimson Lights, Heather warns Phyllis to stop talking, but the redhead tells Christine she's never been more serious. She'll plead guilty but needs her to put it in writing that she won't prosecute her kids. Christine agrees. Phyllis says, "Good. Can we get in front of a judge now?" Today? In the judge's chamber, Phyllis tells the magistrate she's going against her counsel's advice and wants to plead guilty to all charges against her. Phyllis tears up. She wants this to be over and to protect her children. "I just ask that you hear how I ended up here in front of you begging for mercy." The judge says the DA has submitted a sentencing recommendation, but she doesn't have to accept it. "What would you like me to know before I make my decision?" Phyllis tells the judge she was terrified of Jeremy Stark, who did horrible things. She describes how he manipulated her into teaming with him to target Diane Jenkins. "I just didn't understand how everybody gave Diane Jenkins a free pass, and no one did the same for me." She gets choked up as she tells the judge how Jeremy saw she was lost and preyed upon that. She went along with him, but there was a real undercurrent of threat the whole time, particularly toward her kids. It was his idea for them to marry, and his idea seemed like the answer. That's when everything went into overdrive. Stark had everything planned out and set up to make it look as though Jenkins was guilty. She was trying to protect her family. Phyllis cries that her kids had a memorial for her, and were in so much pain. She realized she caused that. She couldn't bear living the rest of her life without her children and wanted out, but Jeremy wasn't going to let her out. Phyllis describes how Stark started overtly threatening her children and took out a life insurance plan and named himself as the beneficiary. And then he changed the plan. First, he was going to help her disappear, but then he wanted them to be connected forever as a married couple with everything that entails. When she refused, he attacked her, and I defended myself. The judge notes this is the attack that her witness saw. Phyllis supposes he was looking through the window. "I stabbed him. I killed him," she cries. "It haunts me." Phyllis details how it haunts her, and she wakes up at night with the feeling of his hands on her neck. She takes full responsibility for taking his life, but asks the judge to understand she was the victim of coercion and was in terror at the hands of Jeremy Stark. She cries that she's begging her for mercy, please. The judge gives Christine a chance to speak. Christine appreciates Phyllis taking responsibility for deceiving an entire community, framing an innocent woman, and taking a man's life, but laws were broken and they cannot forget that. The judge asks if she feels any differently about her sentencing recommendation after hearing Ms. Summers' account. Christine replies, "I do not, Your Honor. The sentence has to be in keeping with the severity of the crimes committed." Heather stands to address the judge. She thinks her client has shown great character today and finds it unsurprising that the DA would continue to press for a harsh sentence given their history. Christine fumes that she'd never let her personal feelings get in the way of doing her job properly. She points out that they have no way of corroborating Phyllis' account of what happened aside from the statement given by Carson, who isn't even a reliable witness. They have no proof that Stark threatened her children. Her recommendation is based on facts and Ms. Stevens is out of line to suggest otherwise. Lucy and Daniel run into Mariah, who has Aria in the stroller in Chancellor Park. Daniel makes introductions. Daniel explains his daughter came to check on him. Mariah finds this very sweet. Daniel assures them both he's fine, and then admits that maybe he's not totally fine given everything that's happening with his mother, and trying to get a new career off the ground. He's trying to be a better father and a better man, but it's a process. Maria totally gets it. Daniel goes on about not having the time or energy for people who keep making the same bad decisions over and over again anymore. Mariah points out that Daniel hasn't always been perfect. Daniel denies being quick to pass judgment on others and earns a look from both Mariah and Lucy. He concedes, maybe a little bit. Mariah thinks since he expects perfection from himself, perhaps he expects it from others too. She muses that they all have their own paths. People change and it can be extraordinarily difficult. But the people we love, I feel like we have to give them the space and the love to make all of the changes they need to. At the jazz lounge, Summer confides in Chance that she feels reckless. It feels good like I have the old Summer back. I feel like I need to do something to get this energy out. Chance asks, what did you have in mind? She teases, maybe I need to find an actual roller coaster. She invites him to come with her. Chance thinks a roller coaster is exactly what she needs right now, but he can't come with her. He has reports to get done. Summer thinks she needs to do this, and asks him again to come with her. Chance takes a rain check. He's sure he'll see her very soon, and he's rooting for her. In the judge's chambers, she asks Phyllis what she believes would be a fair sentence. Phyllis feels she's already paid a price for what she's done. She's lost the respect of people she loves, and she has seen what this has cost her daughter. I'd like the opportunity to make that right. If she's in a jail cell, she can't do that. She's asking for the chance to make amends and be a better person. I'm begging you. Please, please give me the opportunity to change. Christine wants to interject, but the judge has heard enough. She'll make her ruling shortly. With that, she files out. In society, Phyllis asks if Heather thinks the judge believed her. Heather's not impressed that she went against her advice, but she now believes she did the right thing. Phyllis wanted to plead guilty to show her daughter she's ready to face the consequences of her actions. Heather thinks Summer will come around. Phyllis says Daniel's ashamed of her. She wants to earn back their trust starting now. Heather thinks Phyllis chose the worst way to deal with Diane, but now she's back to her senses. She recalls how Daniel went down a dark hole, but when he came out he realized what he had done and what he had lost. Phyllis guesses she's saying there's hope for her and her kids. Heather thinks she now knows what it feels like to do the right thing. It feels good, doesn't it? Phyllis won't forget this feeling. She can't. Chance runs into Christine at the club and gets an update on Phyllis' hearing and Heather's accusations against her. Chance is sure she was fair as always. Christine confides that she got a message from Paul, who wants them to talk and asked her to go to Lisbon. She needs to make time for it once Phyllis is sentenced. Paul wants to discuss their future, and his tone didn't sound positive. Chance asks how she wants this to end with Phyllis. Chris wants her to pay for her crimes for once, and not out of vengeance because it's right. But at the same time, she wants what's best for Phyllis' kids. She gets a notification that the judge has made her decision. At society, Heather tells Phyllis that the judge has reached a decision. She needs to see this through. Phyllis declares that her kids will know she did the right thing whatever happens. In the park, Maria has to go feed the baby and tells Daniel she hopes everything works out with Phyllis. She knows how special moms are. She would do anything to make sure hers is safe and hopes Aria feels the same about her one day. Daniel thanks her for the talk. Once alone, Lucy asks Daniel to take her to see Phyllis. Daniel thinks they should hold off for a while, but assures her she'll get to see her at some point. In the judge's chambers, Judge Franklin tells Phyllis she listened to her story and lists off her crimes. Jeremy Stark was a dangerous criminal, so it's reasonable to believe she feared for her life. There are no witnesses to contradict her story, and Carson corroborated it. Christine looks tight-lipped. The judge tells her, I'm going to reject your recommendation, Mrs. Williams. The judge sentences Phyllis to 6 months of community service and a year of probation. If she's anything but a model citizen in the year, she'll see her back there and will not be as forgiving as she is today. Ms. Summers, you are free to go. The judge walks out. Christine stands before Phyllis and tells her, you have been given a gift. Don't squander it. Phyllis says, I won't. She looks emotional as Heather tells her, it's over, Phyllis. Phyllis replies, not yet. At an amusement park, Summer gets to the top of the roller coaster ride, grins, and then screams her head off and laughs as she descends.